Testing. All right. Welcome, everyone. I'm going to turn on the speakers. We have all the Scantrons and as well the Blue Books graded except for 70. So that grader is doing it right now. So once she uploads them, I finished mine, Alyssa's finished mine, so we're still waiting on Sylvia. And so once she gets it here, we'll divvy it up and we'll go over it, and then you'll get your paper at the end of the day. Okay. On the syllabus, when it says staple your summaries, what days that do? All 5 together. All right, so that is only applying to people where they have a discrepancy, okay? So let's say Mr. Aaron, he's done 10, then he's not going to turn in 10 to me again, right? But let's say Mr. Aaron's, like, he turned in 5, but he only has credit for 4, right? So in that case, he's going to come up to me, show it to me, I'm going to change the score immediately, okay? So just show me it, okay? So guys, the mass majority of you have 10 out of 10, right? You guys like literally the mass majority. But let's say you don't have it, right? And there's a discrepancy, then, you know, I would keep going to extra credit to the next one, make it to 10. Okay, so let's say you have 8. Okay, you didn't do 1, right? Do the next week extra credit. That gives you 10, right? So that doesn't matter, okay? Let's say, so just keep going. Yes?
What if we have like a post, you know, of one of our summaries, and it has the time and date we posted, but we never either got it?
Then you would be exactly who I'd want you to come next class, just to show it to me, right? That's you're exactly what I what to see. Just show me another hard copy. That's fine. Just show it to me, okay? Or if you have a smartphone, just show me your smartphone, okay? You don't have to print it out, okay? All right, guys. I'm still waiting on one grader. Your papers are due this what? Thursday, okay? Let's do some paper talk. And since my grader is not here yet, we're going to talk. I'll do the current events. Let's talk current events, guys. And let's do after that. Let's talk grader, and then let's show awkward black girl, okay? All right, guys, current events. What's going on in the world? Yes, back there. What's your name? Miguel, what's your current event? Oh, so they elected a prom queen and king and 2 girls? Let me get you a... Okay. Mr. Miguel, let me give you this, okay? Mr. Aaron, can you come down and be until Sylvia comes? All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Aaron. All right. Pass it down to Mr. Miguel. All right. And Mr. Aaron, I'll give you the other one. Okay. All right.
Hello,
Here you
hello.
go. Thank you. All right. Anyone else? And can you, Mr. Miguel, one more time tell us?
I found on Facebook these 2 girls won prom king and queen, and when they signed in the ballot, a lot of people were getting pissed off. So it kind of encouraged them to keep going, and they ended up winning prom king and queen. And a lot of people were like thinking like, oh, it's not supposed to be like that. It's supposed to be a guy and a girl. And my point of view, I thought I was like I was thinking like, oh, it's kind of dumb. But then again, I'm like, I don't care because I'm in college. I don't care about the high school stuff.
Okay. All right. Thank you for volunteering. Okay. Anyone else? Current events, guys. Current events. Pass it to Mr. Michael. Pass it. Yes.
I have like something addressing that. It's like at my high school, what we did with the prom king and queen, it was just the most popular guy and girl. They didn't have to be any relationship or anything like that. There was no connotation between the two. It was just like the most popular guy and the most popular girl. So wouldn't that, like what you said, be like totally destroying that? Like, isn't that like, I don't know. Like, I'm all for like equality, like gay rights, whatever. But like, I don't know. Like, it was a completely like they weren't like king and queen weren't dating at my school, and no one in my district. So like, I think it's weird for that to happen.
Okay, thank you. Okay. And again, internet, do we even know it's true, right? All right, guys. Anyone else? Current events. What's going on around the world, guys? What's going on? Russia has gone more into Ukraine, right? That's huge. President Obama has said that, you know, we should, as with the EU, have a response, right? But that's a big issue for us. We're very spread, okay? In my political anthropology class, we actually discussed that deeply. Anything else? Mr. Aaron, do you have a current event?
Anybody have anything to say about the whole Donald Sterling?
Yes, let's talk about Donald Sterling. Oh, ladies, I hear you. Go ahead.
You said that.
Well, to repeat what she said, he's an asshole.
Okay.
That's exactly what she said.
Okay. All right.
Yes. Of course, I don't agree with what Donald Sterling had to say, but I do think there was something behind it as far as his girlfriend was concerned. I do think that she had some alternative motives as far as, or his assistant, whatever it was.
Okay.
But I do think she had some like ulterior motives by like recording that. And I do take a few like law classes here, and we were just discussing how like what is said in the home is supposed to be private, and I mean, low key, some of us make like racist jokes or say like, you know, we might not mean it or whatever, but I'm sure there's a lot of other people who in their household, in their privacy, say certain things that maybe if we did hear, you know, over the news, we'd be very like, oh my God, I can't believe this person who sits next to me in class would say something like that or whatever. So I don't agree with what he said, especially in the position he's in. But I do think like the way the girlfriend or whoever she is went about it is kind of like, she was like low key, like, I don't know.
All right, guys, think of our racist grandparents. Wouldn't all our racist grandparents be arrested at this point, right, for things they've said? Okay, hand up.
Wow. So I think, yeah, that's true. But I mean, he knows he's pretty famous. He knows that paparazzi is going to be around him all the time. So he really should be aware of what he says. I mean, because like, even though we do have freedom of speech, he knows what position he's in. And he knows that the company's running kind of, you have to be careful about what you say. So kind of is his fault. Kind of maybe his girlfriend's fault, but he should just watch what he says.
Right there. Is that okay? Can I call on people? All right.
Hello? Can anyone hear me? All right. So actually, his mistress was the lady that ratted him out. She was actually being sued by his wife for $1.8 million, which she didn't have. So that was her alternative motive to comment on what you said. So that's why she released the conversation between them two. And there was a guy, I think last week, that was on an internet radio station, was being interviewed, who wrote an article about Donald Sterling 9 years ago about his racist comments that he's been doing. And he said it's kind of like retarded that everyone all of a sudden is making a big deal about it when he's been doing that for so long. And the bigger problem than just saying that he's racist and commenting about why did he say that, he was actually involved in acts in Chicago where he was part of the segregation in Chicago between the ghettos and the blacks and the white people, and segregation in schools and whatnot. He's like, why isn't anyone saying anything about that when he's actually killing blacks around the U.S. besides complaining about, he said, like he hates black people and whatnot. He said people should be focusing more on what he's actually doing with his money.
Okay. Another thing was that he's also knowingly was recorded. That girl and his girlfriend supposedly would always have arguments about certain things, and he would forget because of his old age, and so he would say, "Well, record me then," and that way you have evidence for the future. So it wasn't like it was against him, and he knowingly. That's another thing is people said like he should, like, it was a privacy. He knowingly knew that he was being tape recorded. He knowingly knew that he was what he was saying, and like he should be held against that, because it wasn't like he was just caught or that the tapes were edited to make him seem to say something, but he said what he was saying in the tapes, and it's all about his mind. And also with the guy, there's two other cases where he was being racist, and the only problem is now is that the change of the NBA chairman, like, he wants to stop this. The other chairman for the NBA knew about his racist comments and decided to do nothing about it. And now it's just another implication about how the NBA is also an ineffective system. If they knew that for a long time he was this racist man, why did they continue to support him?
Okay, actually, who's a sociology major here? Who's a sociology major? Sociology majors, you guys actually know better than I think other students, because this is what you study, inequality. There's a difference between your mom's racist, your dad's racist, your grandma, and structural racism, right? Structural racism means that you can affect thousands of people. And what Donald Sterling did is he actually didn't allow African Americans to live in some of his apartment buildings, including his wife actually would go to places and not allow minorities. So there's a big difference between individual racism, right, at your house, but also structural racism. And I think that's a great point from back there. What's your name? Mohammed? Excellent, Mohammed. I think you were talking about structural racism, and that is actually a great point, okay? All right, guys, any more comments? Where's the other? There's two of them. Where's the other one? Okay. All right. Let's go over here. Yes. Anyone? Yes. Where's the other one? There should be another two. Where's the other two?
I go first? All right. So on a side note, I was reading that in Nigeria, 300 schoolgirls were kidnapped by terrorists. Yeah, and how 57 of them ended up escaping. It was on April the 15th when they kidnapped them. And Obama came out saying that they're going to go and help them out, try to find the girls. So I thought it was pretty intense. Steve.
This was back on Donald Sterling, and it's like I don't watch the NBA. I don't really care about like what the whole politics of the situation is. But one thing that needs to be said about what he was doing is that he was telling the mistress that he doesn't care if she hangs out with black people. He doesn't care if she sleeps with black people. What he cares about is her bringing a whole entourage of like 20 some odd black dudes and just filling up the stands all around him, surrounding him by black dudes. And he was like, listen, I don't care what you're doing in your private life, just don't bring it into my workplace. And as far as racism goes, like that's like where you draw the line with racism. If it affects the workplace, then it's like structural racism. And until then, it's just like, I don't know, bigotry or something. It's just being mean.
All right, great.
Go ahead.
Great.
Hello.
Finish off.
I'm a huge sports fan, and I just wanted to say that the NBA handles racism a lot better than the U.S. legal system. So they just decided to kick him out for life, and then when someone else does it, it's just oh, it's just racism, it's no big deal. So I feel like the NBA handles it way better than the U.S. legal system.
Great.
And that's something that should be brought up, not just in the NBA, but in the whole world.
Okay, excellent. Okay, excellent. Okay. Any other current events? Anything around the world? Nigeria, the big kidnapping, anything else? Current events? Okay. All right.
We have one right here. Sorry.
Okay, good. Last one, and then let's go to Awkward Black Girl. Okay.
I don't know if you guys saw that video of the girl that got hit with the shovel.
No, I didn't see.
Actually, she kind of died, which kind of sucks.
No,
it was just interesting.
Let's pass.
From head trauma. She was watching Mean Girls. Apparently, she lost her hearing in one ear, and then she just died in within a few hours.
Oh, okay. We're not going to watch that class, but thank you. Okay. All right, guys. Let's start our video, and then we'll go into the lecture. Okay. Okay.
Sometimes hood rat love songs inform my life decisions.
Might as well call me Nelly Kelly. I got a dilemma. I'm in love with.
Sometimes hood rat love songs inform my life decisions.
Might as well call me Nelly Kelly. I got a dilemma. I'm in love with two niggas and they friends with each other. One got me on my Yolanda. He opened up my heart. The other got me on my double mints. He on these booty shows. One take me out and shit. He's so fucking romantic. The other loves to lick the clit. My nanny so appreciative. His mind over body. His body over mine. Who the fuck I'm supposed to choose? They both treating me right.
Treating me right. I love my nigga. I love my man.
Shit. Oh God, can he see me? Sometimes avoiding a coworker requires creativity. I like to pretend to look for important things in my car. If I rummage around long enough, maybe he'll go inside. 8:58, get off the fucking phone, Fred!
I gotta get my notebook. I forgot it. I got my notebook.
Do I have to wait for him? Is it rude to walk away?
Thanks for waiting.
I won't be the only one late. Say something. Why is the office so far away?
This weather's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, LA is always sunny. So unpredictable.
Is this small talk for idiots? LA weather. I can't ask him about his weekend. I know what he did. He knows what I did. He knows who I kissed. Is he gonna bring it up?
Nina and I aren't together.
Wait, what?
Hey! Glad you guys made it. Staff meeting in the conference room. First order, Amir is in his 3rd day of racial insensitivity training. He sends his best to all of you. Secondly, I'd like to congratulate A. He's our top salesperson for this week. Let's give him a hand.
I found that revealing to customers that the future of my job depends on their purchase really helps.
Well, keep it up, A. It's working. Jerry, our new temp, is in 2nd place this month.
Thank you, everyone. I find it just so inspiring to hear stories of obesity triumph. You know?
Yeah. As for the rest of you, well, sales have been exceptionally low this month. That's unacceptable. Darius, Jay, you two, you're our lowest salespeople.
Fuck you, bitch.
Step it up.
I mean, I honestly feel like our general morale is extremely low. Maybe if we had incentives, we'd be more inclined to perform at a higher level.
Yeah, exactly. Jay, what's your excuse?
I don't have one. But I do think that customers are used to our pill. Maybe if we had a new product, that would be easier to sell.
Jay, I'm so glad you brought that up. We have a new project, the Gutbusters Colon Cleanse.
Oh, wow.
Granted, it needs some marketing work, but it is our new pill alternative.
Sorry I'm late, everyone. That devil put so much traffic on the freeway.
Devil brought me here on time.
Meet Dolores, Cece's HR office mate and sworn enemy.
God bless you.
It began with the blessings.
Jesus bless you. Mary bless you.
Then Dolores guilted Cece into trading Beyonce's channel for Kirk Franklin's.
Jesus is my homie lover friend. My homie lover friend is
She's tried to speak up about it, but coworkers always intervene, like a disciple defense team.
Hey, can you turn it down a little bit? This is America, Cece. If you will listen to your Muslim chants here, use headphones.
I'm not even Muslim.
But the last straw was the day Dolores announced her name change.
Dolores Clarence was lost. She went clubbing in ridiculously stunning outfits. She slept with gorgeous married men. She lied to herself. Dolores is dead. Meet Sister Mary.
Wait, your name is Sister Mary Clarence?
Dolores, while you're here, could you please give us an HR update? Oh, whoopsie, Sister Mary. My bad.
Brothers and sisters, see, now I've noticed a correlation between staff morale and our low sales. Amen? See, we don't support one another as a staff. So I propose that with this new colon cleanser project, we work together to make it a top seller. Because like I always say, if you want to be somebody, if you want to go somewhere, you better wake up and pay attention. Oh, hallelujah.
It's amazing, Sister Mary. Do you mind if we jazz this up a little?
You going on ahead.
Nina. If you wanna be somebody, you wanna go somewhere, you better wake up and pay attention. If you wanna be somebody, if you wanna go somewhere, you better wake up and pay attention. If you wanna be somebody, if you wanna go somewhere, you better wake up.
When did the office turn into the gospel version of Stomp the Yard?
Oh, that was incredible.
Oh,
Wow, when you people sing and dance, the world is yours. Dee, Sister Mary, I want to put you in charge of the Gutbuster colon cleanse.
That would be a blessing.
Great. Now we just need someone to work on the marketing launch. Who wants to take that on?
I think Jay should. Plus, she wasn't singing, so her morale could obviously use some work.
Excellent choice. Girlfriend, you'd be perfect for the job. You have the spirit in you.
I'd like to work on this with Jay.
The morale is kicking in already. Great. Have something on my desk in the morning, you two.
You'll meet at my place tonight? Around 8?
Yeah, that works for me.
Cool, well, I'll see you then.
Working with a crush is the worst. Working with a crush outside of work, at night, at his house, is just plain...
Hey, Jay.
sexy.
Hey. Come on in.
Is it me or is Fred trying to...
I figured this would help us get through this horrible project. For work.
Oh, all right. Knock out this Gutbuster cleansing for work. Yeah.
Have a seat.
If Fred thinks setting up his room like a 90s R&B video is gonna work on me, he gets me. So, you and Nina aren't together.
So, Gutbusters.
Yeah.
This is really disgusting.
You volunteered for this disgusting project.
I volunteered for you. Guitars we think. Is that weird?
I rap.
What? You rap?
Okay, you play, I rap. It helps me get through things.
Put something on top of this.
No, I'm doing this.
Come on, it's just a two.
No, you're gonna laugh at me. You're gonna make fun of me.
I'll play, and you rap.
Gutbuster, colon cleanse, you make me shit. This job is bullshit, I hate it. But this song is the shit, I made it. Can you even play that thing?
I used to be in a band.
Play something, man.
Jay, you're quirky. Well, you don't answer the phone on the first ring at work. You even laugh at all my jokes when they're not even funny. So difficult. I guess what I'm trying to say is I really.
Love, I need love.
Sometimes you don't make choices based on logic or reason. You just choose what feels right at that moment.
Like when I call, you come running, love. Now that you're here, let's get to it. Let's lay down. Oh, you're so special, you know just what I might say.
What?
All right, guys. I'm gonna go to the lecture, and then I'm gonna show a video. And at the end of class, we're gonna distribute your finals back. I mean, midterms back. Okay. The scores were very good. The average was 84, so that's really high, right? Okay. So the average student got like an 82, 83, and so that's pretty high. And usually, if you're a bio major, the average is 60, right? Like 60s and even lower. Okay. So it's pretty good scores. Again, there's some people who did not do it. They got 0, and some people, the scores went from the lowest 28% to 99%. So the usual rate. But as a whole, what this says to me is the class is doing great. Okay. So I'm not going to worry. So next class, just bring in your paper, and I think it's great. Okay. All right. Let's go through Crenshaw, and Garcia today. All right. Yes. 100 points. It's always 100 points. Yeah. At one point, I think it was like the average was 79, but 70 scores were not in yet. But it did go up a little bit. So that's actually quite good in the 80s. That's actually around. If it was an average of 60, I would have curved it, right? But at this point, the average person gets a B minus. It's pretty good. Okay. All right, guys. Okay. If we have time, stop me at 30 minutes so I can show a video if possible. Okay. All right, guys, let's do Kimberly Crenshaw, Mapping the Margins, Intersectionality. All right, Mr. Aaron, can you give out, or run, you'll be my runner because Miss Sylvia is actually sorting, so where's my Mr. Aaron? Okay. All right, guys, can someone read it? The thesis.
Kimberly Crenshaw, Mapping the Margins, Intersectionality, Identity, Politics, and Violence Against Women in Color. Thesis, Crenshaw argues that generalized essential gender identity does not address differences among women based on race or culture.
All right. So basically what that means is, a lot of people will think women are all the same. That's not true, right? We talk about, there's a concept called intersectionality, which is your race, class, and gender matter. Your ethnicity matters. Your education matters, right? That's actually a division among women, okay? So right now, take a sheet of paper, split in half, okay? On one side, put down all the definitions that people think you are when they look at you, okay? The other side, give me all the identities that you are, right, that people don't know about, okay? So for instance, let's say people see you as, I don't know, someone said sexy. Did someone say sexy? Okay. All right. Someone sees you as sexy, but you see yourself as a devout Orthodox Jewish person who is a moderate. Okay. So give us on one side, what do people view you as? And then all the things that you associate with, right? All the clubs that you join. I'm into hip hop. I'm into R&B. I'm into country. All right. So you should fill it 10 and 10, right? At least 10 and 10. Okay. Let's give that 5 minutes. No. No, we're not handing it out until the end. So no. Yes, you can get it next time. You can take a look and see your grade if you want, but I can't hand it out early. Okay, we're not finished sorting. This is why you might want to just wait to the end.
Yeah.
Just, okay. The good thing is I got rid of all the journals almost. Right? I almost got rid of all the journals.
got all of them.
Almost at the end. When you're done with your 10 and 10, if you could switch and read other people's 10 and 10 and switch again, read other people's 10 and 10. So try to read 2 to 3 people's in class. What? Mario Gorgeous is not here. There's G's that have to be here. Just saw this person. Okay. J. All right, let's start. Mr. Aaron, if you can help me out. All right, can someone, and it's all optional, if you can read your list on what people perceive you and what do you identify with, right? It's optional if anyone wants to read their list.
Okay. I think people perceive me as I really don't know, but I guess people, first of all, when they see me, they think I'm black, which I am, so that would be right.
Okay.
Once I start talking, they're like, oh, she's pretty smart. So then I'm like, okay, that's probably true most days. I'm just an average girl. Sometimes on good days I'm pretty, except when I'm PMSing.
Okay.
I'm emotional, I'm stubborn, I'm impatient, I'm sometimes weird, I can be funny, and I'm not outgoing, which is what I think people think. I actually really love food. I'm educated, I'm motivated, I'm bilingual, I'm caring, I am impatient, so people are right. I am weird, I'm black, and I'm old school, and I am outgoing.
Great, so you're outgoing, and great, okay, excellent. Okay, all right, excellent. Anyone else? Can someone, go ahead.
Okay, so I think people view me as being shy, weird, awkward, obviously black, and athletic, but I think I view myself as quiet. I'm actually part Japanese, silly, I'm weird, and I'm also athletic.
Okay, great. Go ahead, Mr. Manish.
People see me as brown, but I like to consider myself mocha.
Okay. Okay.
People see me as tall, which I'd have to agree, and tall, dark, and handsome. I'm friendly, which is correct. I'm a woman connoisseur. I like to think of myself as a superstar.
You definitely are.
Thanks.
Okay.
And I'll pass the mic.
You put funny on that list? Because you're pretty funny.
Yeah, I'm a comedian.
You always make us laugh. Okay, great. Okay, anyone else?
A lot of people see me as awkward, weird, a geek, which is true. Mexican, which is also true. Only a friend to some ladies, which is annoying. Yeah.
Ladies. Oh.
Sorry, man. I feel your pain.
Thank you. I'm an athlete, which I kind of am. Fast. I am kind of out of shape and lame. No, that's not really. I see myself as I said before, athletic. I consider myself durable, sensitive. I am a gamer. It's a little term I made up, short fuse, which means like I'm easy to anger, I guess. Caring, I'm smart, observant, I am awkward, and I'm glad with what I have, I guess you could say. But yeah.
Thank you. Excellent. Okay. Anyone else?
Can I say something real quick, Dr. Bond? Oh, after.
Yes, go ahead.
So I know a lot of us probably see ourselves as awkward because we all have our awkward moments. I was reminded of this when I was watching that one Facebook video that went viral. Have you guys seen it on your news feed? It's called Look Up, right? No. So, I mean, I really feel like our generation, we have slowly started to become more awkward, like socially weird, just because we're always constantly on our phones, always constantly on social media. So it's like the way we perceive ourselves through social media is a lot different from how we really are slowly starting to become. But, I mean, we're all awkward, just so try to embrace it.
Okay.
So, you know.
Great point. Okay. Yes, excellent. Mr. Michael.
I blame the inability to convey sarcasm via text. I blame that.
Okay. All right. Excellent. Okay.
On my list, I have a white boy, which I obviously am. Let's be honest about this.
Okay.
And a whole bunch of other things. But, like, I was just wondering, are you trying to, like, get us to make an OkCupid profile or something?
No.
No? Are you sure?
I'm sure.
Okay. That's all I want to say.
But, guys, are any of you guys single? Date each other. Look at that. Look around. Date each other, guys. Thank you, Mr. Michael. You helped us out.
All dark and mocha over here.
You helped us out. He's single. So, guys, date each other. Thank you, Mr. Michael. That's a great idea. Okay. All right. So Crenshaw is actually world famous, and she's world famous for something called critical race theory. So if everyone can write down critical race theory, okay? And she says that people, on one hand, look at women as all the same, but actually it's not true, right? If you are, let's say, a Latina woman and you have one child that's documented, one child that's not documented, if you're an Asian woman and you are functionally illiterate or something, you have diametrically opposed motivations from other women, right? Possibly upper class women, right? And so that's why she's really famous. You're going to see her everywhere. She's a lawyer, and so she talks about women of color, okay? All right, so intersectional identities. A lot of you guys, thank you, Mr. Michael, thank you, Mr. Aaron, thank you, Ms. Melody. All of you guys gave us different types of identities, okay? All right, and we talked about it. You belong to several different groups, okay? And these groups are dividing groups. So I want you guys to think about that critically, right? I want you to think critically how your group membership really is a way to define yourself and to kind of separate yourself from other women as well, okay? So last Thursday we were here, and you guys saw that we were actually doing our midterm, right? But actually, Sylvia and I, we usually do the immigrant march together. And then, so I, as a phenotypically Asian woman, actually was walking with Sylvia, you know, and a Oaxacan woman. So I think we have overlapping identities, right? So for me, I think of myself as someone who is definitely a woman, right? And also someone who is educated, but also allegiance and allies to other people, right? So women of color, poor women, homosexual and gay people as well. Miss Sylvia, if you can tell us what is your identity and what do you identify? What is your intersectionality?
Well, I would first like to clarify it depends on the context. Because if I were to say Mixtec, nobody here will know. That's very limited to certain people within those that identify with indigenous identity. Also, woman, a person of color, a woman of color. I wouldn't necessarily say Mixtec. Depending on the context, again, I may say Nusabi. That could be, most of you guys have never heard that before. So I would just say perhaps Mexican under a different context. So it's very much has to be contextualized for you guys, for me to relate to you. So perhaps I can say I'm a grad student, so you guys can easily locate me that way.
And also, I think when I first met you, you said that sometimes you identify as Native American and Asian American as well, right? And so that's, I think, some things you...
So
also,
yes.
You're awesome. You're extreme intelligence as well. That's like another something. Because
So
you
yes.
guys don't know, actually, Miss Sylvia will be the first Mixtec PhD in America. So she's kind of a historical person, so you don't really know that, right? So she'll be anthropologist. So and why would you identify with Native Americans and also Asian Americans? Why does that, in what context does that matter to you?
Historically, we share the same past colonial histories. So the struggles we face, for instance, under very rare circumstances, I may identify as never as a Chicana because they have very different struggles than I've had because I'm a generation way, way after them. So you have to, it's something very intimate too that I wouldn't open up to a class of 200 students. So you have to really know me for me to tell you who I am.
Excellent. So for myself, I grew up in the Midwest. And if anyone's been in the Midwest, when I was growing up there in the 70s, 80s, it was predominantly African-American and Anglo, right? And so my identity in Catholic school was very African-American, actually. And so for a long time, all my friends were African-American, and that's just all I know. So it's interesting when I come to Riverside, it's like I never really met anyone Asian until I was like 15, or anyone Latino, right, until I was 15. So that has really formed my identity as well, okay? So I very much identify with kind of African American studies. I almost was a minor. So, so if you guys could, anyone would you like to share as also other overlapping identities that you might be part of? So, for instance, I went marching with the Oaxacans, right? So obviously, I have some sort of I feel a sense of co-identity. Anyone else? Mr. Aaron, yes.
Oh, I was actually born in Fontana, lived in Redlands for a little bit, and then my parents split up when I was like a year or so old. So I moved to Long Beach with my mom, and as you guys know, Long Beach is it's a little rough in that area. I went to high school at Long Beach Poly, and Long Beach Poly is known for being super diverse. We have a lot of Samoans, a lot of Hispanic, Black, White, Asian students. So growing up, I was raised Cambodian, go to the temple, this and that, but I would listen to rap music. I went to a predominantly white elementary school, so I was just all over the place. But with me, my closest friends, they're Asian, they're Black. I have friends I'm tolerant of all races, ethnicities, and even here at UCR, I was actually about to participate in Black Grad, and just kind of because I have a lot of close African American friends, this and that, and then also I learned how to speak Spanish, so it's. I don't know. I'm again all over the place, but I like it. I like to embrace other cultures as well.
So is anyone here Filipino? Anyone here Filipino? Okay. So a lot of Filipinos actually identify with Latino culture, right? They have a kind of overlapping identity as well. Okay. Yes.
Pass this down.
Well, I'm Latin American, but most people think that I'm African American of some sort, at least half. But if anything, I guess I'd identify more with, I don't like to use the term whitewashed, but I was raised in an area where there was predominantly white and Asian. So as far as me being able to connect in certain degrees with Hispanic people, even though I am Hispanic, I do speak Spanish, I guess I have a harder time saying that I'm, I don't know, I guess I wouldn't fit into the stereotypical, I wouldn't be able to relate with people that were raised in a predominantly Hispanic area.
Excellent. That kind of piggybacks on what Sylvia said, how your context, your background, right? Is anyone here religious? Does anyone have a religious identity that is overwhelmingly more so than other identities, right? So that's a different intersection, right? Mr. Manouche, can you talk about your religious identity? How does that define you?
Thank you. Let me fix my hair.
Mr. Aaron,
all right. I'm Hindu, so like it's very spiritual. Like it's about transcending like the body, and it's about spirit, and like there's like the world is just constructed in a way that like you have like good factors and evil factors, and these good and evil factors are it's like an ongoing war, a perpetual war that's never gonna end. It's gonna go on for eternity. You're gonna have good and bad fighting each other for the rest of eternity. So you have to make conscious good decisions in your lifetime in order to advance yourself out of the physical body into a higher realm or something of that nature.
Excellently put. Okay, so can you pass it that way to Mr. Michael? So the religious identity is crucial to many people. Guys, we are one of the most religious countries in the world, okay, guys? We are a Judeo-Christian country with other religions as well, but guys, if you compare us to other countries such as China or so, we are very religious, okay? And that has driven a lot of our legal stances. Yes, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, I was raised by like a single parent, and my mom is Mexican. And so I never really identified with my black side. Like, I speak Spanish fluently. Everyone around me growing up was Mexican, and they were, I mean, some of them, you know, are darker than myself, so it wasn't hard to identify with them. But actually, when I came to UCR, I met a lot of black friends, and they kind of showed me how to connect with my black side. Not, you know, and because that I felt for a long time that I couldn't really identify with black women like that because I was raised in a Mexican home.
Right.
So they actually, like, on some topics, they were like so passionate about it. It would do with racism and stuff like that, and I wasn't as passionate about it because I guess I didn't really understand like where they were coming from, and so I think they opened my eyes to see like my other whole culture, you know, or other side of me that I wasn't really aware of.
Excellent, great point. Okay, has anyone actually been raised by their mother only, and then that has affected your identity more so than your father that was not there? I think Barack Obama talks about it a lot too, right? He's mainly actually raised by his Anglo-Caucasian mother, right? And that has affected his identity. So, but although, remember, on the surface, people see him as this, quote, black man, but really his whole life has been raised with his Anglo mother and Asian stepfather, okay, and raised in Indonesia.
So I'm about to say something that might get me in some trouble because it has before. But I was raised by a single mother, and she is very Mexican, I guess is the way you want to say it. But the thing is, as I was growing up, I kind of was told all these stories of the struggles that my parents went through and all the rest of my family that I do know. And I grew up with a kind of negative connotation of even having a racial identity. It was more like, just be yourself, be what you want to be, doesn't matter about your race. But at the same time, I kind of grew up confused because I thought, well, the color of my skin is brown, mocha, whatever it may be, caramel for crying out loud. But I think, okay, fine, coffee maybe. But I think it was more confusing because I was going through high school, like our high school was so downtrodden. It was more like, yeah, you guys are like 85 to 90% Latino. That's why your high school is failing so badly at your exams. Or you have ESL kids. That's why you guys are failing so bad. We're not going to give you any money for your budget. So it's kind of growing up with this negative connotation. Like, is it bad to be a Latino or whatever it is I may identify with? So I think for me, I kind of wanted to avoid saying that, oh, I'm a Latina teacher or I want to be a Latina lawyer. Like, I've always avoided saying that because of that. I judge what you want, but I grew up really confused with that. And even at UCR, I'm still confused. Like, I don't know what to say about it. I don't know necessarily what I am, I guess. I don't know. There you go.
There is this concept called internal colonization, right? For particularly hits minorities, where there's a lot of negative towards your minority. Sometimes you want to stay away from that, right? You want to stay away from that group, right? So that's something. Ms. Sylvia, do you want to speak on internal colonization at all?
Well, it's oftentimes when you have come. I don't know how familiar you guys are with the U.S. history, but there was different, currently with the immigration reform that's going on, there were different efforts to repatriate non-natives from here. So for instance, there was in the 1940s, there was Operation Wetback that happened where all those that were Mexican were deported. They weren't asked about their legal status, but they were just picked up at work and then were sent back. And oftentimes these were third, fourth generation Mexican. And what you end up having is that in order to avoid deportation, even though they were U.S. citizen, oftentimes these individuals claim their ancestry with Spain. So a lot of them denied the fact that they were of Mexican descent from Mexico. Rather, they claimed their Spanish descent. And then you have quite the opposite, because these are the 40s, right? And then in the 1960s, you have the civil rights movement that included the Chicana movement, where you have the second generations of these people in the 1940s claiming their roots, actually going back all the way to pre-colonial times, claiming their Mexica roots. This is an indigenous group that settled in the center of Mexico. So you have different, depending on the experience that the people encounter, like your classmate, you oftentimes want to keep away from that. But you have to actually critically think about that. What are the pros and cons of claiming an identity and not claiming it? UCR, it's one of the UCs with being highly diverse in comparison to other UCs. So, what attracts that? And just thinking about what checkbox you checked off when you register in the UCR and what significance that has, in terms of enrollment, funding for the CHAS or the different colleges that you're in.
Excellent. And Mr. Michael?
Just for the sake of participating, I will say that my mom is Scot-Irish and my father is Iranian. So, like, after 9/11, I had this whole thing in my life where people just started treating me weird because my father was Iranian. And it's like, but he has a PhD from Rochester. I don't understand. Like, what? What's your logic here? But I just really wanted to make the point that you wanted us to tell you when it was 30 minutes left in class. We have 20 now.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Okay, let's get to the next one. All right, guys, I'm going to go zip through, but I want you to answer this in your mind by yourself. How are you the same and different from other groups in terms of oppression and privilege, right? So I'm just going to leave you with this. All of you probably have different oppressions and different privileges. But guys, Mr. Rami, Ms. Manu, what percentage, Ms. Melody, what percentage of the world has a BA, a college degree? College, what percentage of the world? Throw it out. Okay. Actually, less than 1%. Okay. So in some countries, way less than 1%. But if, like Korea, it's like over 30%. Okay. But as a world, it's less than 1%. It depends if you want to look at different data. If they attempt college, then it's like 1 to 2%. Right. So one way for us to look at you guys is that you are the elite. You are the top of the top of the top, right? Because you are the 1 or 2%, okay? So again, I want you to think about how are you privileged and oppressed, okay? All right, identity politics ignores individual differences, and sometimes it's not addressed by shelters, okay? For instance, women who are abused, right, by their partners, sometimes they don't know English, sometimes they have lack of job skills, poverty, sometimes they're undocumented, right? They also sometimes are mothers where child care is an issue. That makes them different from other women. Okay, so this, in terms of this lecture, it's really different from other women. All right, so again, I'm gonna put this up, okay, tonight. Okay, not all. Okay, Ms. Sylvia, can you read it really quick?
Political intersectionality. Yes. Women of color are situated between two subordinated groups that may have conflicting agendas. Key terms: intersectionality, recognition of the many strands that make up identity, and women of color, term used in the 1980s to identify women in the U.S. who identify as non-white.
Right. Could you read the next one too?
Sure. Okay. The development of Chicana Feminist, Discourse by Alma Garcia. Thesis, the document's rise of Chicana feminist movement in the 1970s and 1980.
All right, so Chicana movement is actually quite different. It's a political term, actually. Can someone can someone...
I love a great story. For 25 years on The Oprah Show, I had the privilege of bringing some of the best stories to viewers. Still worrying about my...
Find out if things were any better for you.
So, where were we last class in terms of the number? Was it 17, 16? 14? Okay. All right, so let's finish this up, and then we'll go to the video. Okay. All right, so it's a political issue, particularly from the 1960s. And so if you identify as Chicana, it's actually, you're specifically hearkening to the 1960s term where that came up for civil rights, okay? Sylvia, can you read it?
Sure. Developed in the response to the social movements, protests of the civil rights movement. Chicana challenged both sexism of traditional Chicano nationalism and race and class oppression in Anglo female groups.
All right. So I'm going to put that up tonight, right after class, and we're going to show the video. And right after that, you're going to get your. Let's see, where did I go? Oops, where did I go? Oh, thank you. So after this, you'll get your midterms, and then after that class, we'll go over the next class, okay, the midterm, and then after I'm going to stay here after. Remember, if you have any questions on the paper, come that time, okay?
Not only are girls seen as objects by other people, they learn to see themselves as objects.
The American Psychological Association has found in recent years that self-objectification has become a national epidemic, a national problem. The more women and girls self-objectify, the more likely they are to be depressed, to have eating disorders. They have lower confidence, they have lower ambition, they have lower cognitive functioning, they have lower GPAs. How does this connect to women in leadership? Women who are high self-objectifiers have lower political efficacy. Political efficacy is the idea that your voice matters in politics and that you can bring about change in politics. So if we have a whole generation of young people being raised where women's objectification is just par for the course, it's normal, it's okay, we have a whole generation of women who are less likely to run for office and less likely to vote.
This is dangerous business. If the media is sending girls the message that their value lies in their bodies, this can only leave them feeling disempowered and distract them from making a difference and becoming leaders.
We are this massively powerful democratic society, and we are not modeling for the rest of the world a better balance.
If people knew that Cuba, China, Iraq, and Afghanistan have more women in government than the United States of America, that would get some people upset.
No wonder we are in such trouble in this country. We've been choosing our national leadership from 6% of the country.
Without more women in politics, we just don't really have democratic legitimacy. Something looks fundamentally wrong with our political institutions.
We're shortchanging voices that are urgently needed in public forums from ever getting to the table.
Washington is still pretty male, and it was not unusual to go into a room and be the only woman in the room. Sometimes it mattered. When there was an attempt to change Title IX and some pressure from Capitol Hill about that, I can remember Karen Hughes and I going to the president and saying, You can't do that because you don't know what it was like to be a woman in college prior to Title IX, when you had to have a bake sale to get your sports team to take a trip.
If you have any kind of a decision-making board and there are not any women on that board, they're going to make the wrong decisions because they don't have the woman's perspective, the woman's insight, the woman's experience.
It's an absolute scandal that America's women continue to earn just 77 cents for every dollar men earn.
In 9 states and the District of Columbia, women who are victims of domestic abuse, who've been victims of domestic abuse, can be denied health care coverage because domestic abuse can be considered a pre-existing condition.
We go to the ladies' room, the Republican women and the Democratic women, and we just roll our eyes at what's being said out there. And the Republican women said when we were fighting over the health care bill, if we sent the men home, we could get this done this week.
The United States is the only major industrialized nation without paid family leave. If women didn't speak up on these issues and didn't become front and center and making sure they were on the front burner of the legislative agenda, they simply wouldn't happen. I think if it wasn't us, who would do it?
Women have been actually creating the best public policy in America in every state and community of this country. The living wage campaigns, microenterprise, safety, everything that needed different thinking, women have been doing it, so we got to get them in the tables of power.
Well, 2 things have to happen when you talk about women moving to the next rung or minorities moving to the next rung. First, you have to have the candidates. You have to have people who are in the pools from which these positions are drawn. But you also have to have a kind of psychological breakthrough. Can an American see a woman or an African American in that position? Now, I think with women, we still have a bit to go.
I knew these obstacles still existed for my generation, but I wanted to find out if things were any better for young women seeking leadership positions. So I spent time with an exceptional young woman named Devanshi Patel, who aspires to have a career in public service.
Well, welcome to Bill Hearing. Tonight is the Bill Hearing night for the Central Silicon Valley YMCA Youth and Government Delegation.
So the first time I ran for public office was in 4th grade. My parents worked with me. We made all these flyers with all these cute little slogans, and we campaigned all over the school. And I was actually the runner-up by a handful of votes. I think everyone is born with something that they have to do, and for me, this was it. Every time that I could run for something, I didn't run for anything less. I didn't run for vice president or treasurer. I ran for president.
I asked her one day, I think it was in 5th grade, I said, Devanshi, you always want to be a leader, but do you know what a leader is? She says, it's very simple, Mama. They are just servant to people. Leaders are just servants to people.
I loved the Youth and Government program. The best way I can give back is by running for youth governor. How would you solve the California budget crisis, starting with Ms. Patel? I would cut unnecessary spending. Well, when I was running for office, there were a lot of, if not outward shows of sexism, little remarks here and there, like, oh, she speaks well for a woman. She's smart for a woman. There were also a couple instances with some of my friends when they were going to speak in front of a large audience and the only thing people could focus on was their body, what they looked like, what they were wearing. I thought, we're better than this.
She said, Mama, looks like I'm another Hillary Clinton.
Guys will vote for guys and girls will vote for guys, but some of the time girls have harder time getting the girls to vote for girls because I feel like girls are kind of harder on other girls.
Devanshi's story made me think about how early girls face a deep gender bias and how things have not changed as much as we'd like to think.
One of the first things I did when I became mayor of San Francisco is I appointed a female police chief and then a female fire chief. When they both show up at the podium in a disaster, a lot of national media will look there and say, well, where's the police chief? She's right here. Where's the fire chief then? Well, she's right here. People thought I was trying to make some grand statement, when in fact I was actually just hiring the most qualified 2 candidates. The incredible opposition was coming mostly from women. and those that feel it's too much, too soon, too fast. They never would have questioned that had they been men.
Little boys and little girls, when they're 7 years old, an equal number want to be president of the United States when they grow up, about 30%. But then you ask the same question when they're 15, and you see this massive gap emerging. So we have this gendered socialization where politics is considered to be for men, leadership is considered to be a masculine pursuit, and women are discouraged from pursuing ambitious positions.
I think what happens is that if you do not have women there, then girls do not see that they can be that. So it's really what you see that inspires your idea of what's possible for you.
Write it down, 2447, please write it down. All right, guys, we don't have enough time. We're going to go over next class. We're going to go over the midterm. If you please can pick up your midterm. After that, the mass majority of you guys have turned in 10 points out of 10 points on your journals. Please, you do not have to give me a stapled copy of all 5. But let's say you're one of the 20 people that added in late, all right, 2 weeks late. Then you guys are not in the system at all. So please, you guys, so basically around like 30 of you guys, okay? And if let's say you turn in a journal but you didn't get credit for it, okay? You're also going to be one of those 30. So please, next class, only you guys, all right? So like 10% of this class, you're going to turn in something that if you didn't get credit for it, you can show me on your smartphone, you can staple it together, okay? Thank you so much. And I'm going to see you after if you have questions about the writing, okay? So let's give that 10 minutes and take a seat.
Oh.
Continue on, see if you have writing paper questions.
Wait, yeah.
Our grade for the...
Duh. Shh.
All right, so we're going to extended office hours. The question was, can you use the internet? No. Okay, cannot use the internet. It has to be peer-reviewed. Okay, peer-reviewed articles or books only. You can maybe add something, but in general, it has to be peer-reviewed. Okay, so everyone take a seat. I'm going to have after hours, extended office hours. If you have questions about your paper, so take a seat right now, and then the rest, you could. Yes.
We can use the library database, though, for...
Yes, you can use, of course, yes.
Okay.
Yes, of course.
Thank you.
Yes.
Oh, she has a question.
Yes.
For one of my blogs, I didn't receive the credit online,
So you would be turning in that blog next class, okay?
Because I brought that extra credit just in case as well.
Okay, that's fine, just next class, okay? Let's turn on all the lights, guys, over there. Okay, yes, question.
The question was like, because on the website it says like week 6 extra credit. What does that mean?
It's very little extra credit. It's like 0.25. It's maybe not worth it. It's actually more for people. Remember, we have like 30 people that actually, they literally second and third week they added, right? So they have 0 points out of 10 points. So it's a little points for them, right? It would make no difference to you if you've done full 10.
Okay. And also the thing is, I didn't get a credit for my week 5, but I turned it in on Thursday, and I talked with you guys, so I don't know if I had to turn it in again on.
Well, I'm gonna release the grades tonight. Why don't you check on iLearn first, right? And check and see if you have it. If not, then there's nothing, right? So, but if you need, just bring it next class.
Okay, so I just bring it week 5. That's
right.
All, right?
That's all. Yes.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yes.
So,
I've heard you say that it's not really like worth it if I've done all 10 and I continue to do the other
It's up to you.
5.
It's up to you.
Do you think that it could make any difference?
What
would you recommend? Because I have mine for today.
It is up to you. It's up to you. It's like 0.25. It's not. It's. Mm-hmm. So it's sure. Let's start over there. Yes. Put it over there. Okay. It's yes.
Was this a 91 or a 71?
That looks like I'm not sure. Can I look at your Scantron?
Yeah.
So your Scantron's 82, and then that's sorry.
You said we had a question of people should stay?
Yes, take a seat. Everyone, if you have, this is extended office hours, okay, so I'm going to be additional hours. Take a seat, okay? Take a seat, then we can clear it out, and then we're going to talk about just paper, okay? Yes.
I have to go really quickly. So we said like no online thing, but like JSTOR articles?
That's fine. That's not online. I mean, it's still, that's
like,
printed.
Like, no,
yeah. Right, those are actual
like
articles.
Wikipedia.
Not Wikipedia, yes. Yes.
So if we want to turn in
other summaries for extra credit? Do we need to turn them in?
You do, yes. And actually, just wait. You're going to turn those in as a clip at the end, okay? Yeah. So, guys, if you are turning extra credit, can you just do that at the end and just staple together? It's worth very little points. It's kind of geared towards the people who add it in. But why don't you just keep it for now and give it to me as stapled together at the end, okay? The essay is 10 points, and the Scantron is out of 90 points. It's 100 points possible. But let's discuss that next class. We're going to go over the midterm, okay? Yes?
If I use the China video we saw in class, is it a source?
That is a source, okay, yes.
Yes. During the test, I asked someone if I put the thing here, and they said yeah. So I didn't know what to put here.
No,
I asked
to...
TAs, and they told me to put
do you know what TA it was?
I don't remember.
Because I doubt the TA would let you do that. You have to put it in here. Yeah, it has to be here.
I specifically asked, and then that's
but
why I did it.
It doesn't matter. You have to put it on the Scantron. Why would you put it there? That's really strange.
No, because I thought it was...
It would be pointless, though. Are you a freshman?
Huh?
Are you a freshman? Okay, well, you generally have to put it. This is what's graded. This is the only thing that's graded.
I didn't even know those. I didn't know the...
Yeah, that's... Why don't you just do extra credit? How about you email me, and we'll discuss it further, and then maybe you could do an extra credit paper to make up some points, okay? Okay. Yes?
I don't know what this means.
You got a 9 out of 10.